A few months ago, I came across some topic on query folding, and I was curious on how query folding works. Since then, I've learned how it works. I've used it in some of my personal projects as well. I also came across this 30-day challenge on query folding. So I've decided to take it on from today. So this is the first day I'm taking on my first challenge, and let's see how the next 30 days will go. And for the purpose of those who will be coming over to my channel to probably watch this video, you need the AdventureWorks 2017 database. That's the database the whole query folding challenge is based on. And here's some other information I think you'll find relevant. So you find some little information here on query folding. I'm going to add into the description link below. This is where you read more about query folding, where you realize that as you're transforming your data in Power Query, it generates a simple or single SQL query or statement, retrieves and transform your data from the data source. So I strongly recommend you check out the link, because that's where you're going to get better information on how this works. Then this is where you also get to find the challenge on GitHub. I'm also adding the link. I recommend you download just the challenge file, right, which is the PowerPoint file, because some of these files here are going to be solutions you just don't want to copy. You want to try things out on your own and see that you're able to solve the problem. So when you run into challenges, you can chat me up, you can chat other people up, or eventually you can just look at what they have here. Then finally, this is where you find the AdventureWorks Data Warehouse 2017 backup file that we're using. So this is where you get the backup file from. You use this, you restore the backup in your SQL Management Studio or Azure Data Studio, and you use that to do your analysis. So let's go back to the PowerPoint file. So the instruction here is to select the employee key. Remember, the focus here is on the employee table, which is the dimension table. We'll select the employee key, the gender, the birth date, then a new merged full name. That means we are creating a new column, which is a concatenation of the first name, middle name, and last name with a space separator. This is just to see there's going to be a space between the names, which is a common case you find out there. Then for all employees with a birth date in the year 1974, which means that by the time we are done, the query should only return employees that were given birth to in the year 1974. Right, so let's switch over to Power BI. So we're in Power BI now. So the first thing we need to do, we're getting data from SQL Server, right? So you just click on SQL Server, you provide the server and click on OK. I strongly recommend using a server that's on your own system. That way you don't have to worry about logins and other stuff like that. Yeah. So remember, we are focusing on the employee table. Use a table, then we transform. The whole purpose of query folding is that as you're applying each step here, you remember that you should, this view native query, you should be able to, you see that Power Query has generated a simple SQL query that pulls the data from the database. That's super easy, because if that doesn't happen, that means your query is no longer folding. And just to be sure, we know from the instruction we just read that we need to choose some columns, right? So basically, we are selecting the columns that are relevant to us. We know the employee key is relevant. The first name, last name, and middle name is relevant. The gender is also relevant. And we know that the birth date is also relevant. Click on OK. Great. Remember, each time you view this, you're going to see what the query looks like. So the query looks a lot simpler now because we have just the relevant columns that we need. Up next, we need to create a new column, first name, middle name, and last name. So I'll select them in that order. So we have first name, middle name, last name. So I'll just right click on this and merge. So the names based on the instruction we read are supposed to be separated by space. So you need to choose a separator. The separator is a space, and this should be full name. Okay, great. So now we have the full name, we have employee key, date of birth, and gender. And one final thing, all the employees need to be employees in the year, given birth in the year 1974. So all we need to do is to filter this. By the way, if you check this before I do that, your native query, you see that the query is being modified, right? As you add steps to it. It's important that you do this. If you don't see this, there's a strong chance that your query is no longer folding. So we need employees in the years 1974. 1974. So we can do, let me go here. Oh, let's do between. So between is equal to, so we go here, that means we're looking at January, right? 1974. Let me just choose any random date and modify it. So we have 0101 1974. 1974. Copy this over to this place and we'll do 31st. 31st December 12. Yeah. So this way, everyone whose birthday starts from 1st down to 31st, 1st January down to 31st December, we get to have them here. Click on OK. So this is it. We have the employee key, we have the full name, we have the date of birth, they're all given birth in the year 1974, and we have their gender. And we can view this. We also see that our query is folding. So this is awesome. So with this, I've been able to solve the question for day one. So I'm putting an end to this and see you tomorrow. So all I have to do next is just close and apply. And I'll save this file. I'll save it. Let me just save it here as query challenge. Probably think of a better name for this later on. Forwarding challenge. Save. And this is what my data looks like. So tomorrow I'm going to move on to the challenge for day 2.